Hi everybody, it's Christy back with another video, and today we are going to talk about bullet journaling. So 2022 is coming to a close here this week, or this might be going out at the beginning of 2023, probably the end of 2022 though, I'm thinking. And I just want to talk about my journal setup for 2023. So 3 years ago I don't remember even what the company was, but I bought like a $13 journal for bullet journaling on Amazon, and I liked it. It was okay. It had some setup things I liked, some setup things I didn't. It came with more like blank calendars and things along those lines. I'm going to link it below because it might be the kind of journal that you want if you don't want to do a lot of the setup yourself. It had things set up, but it didn't have a lot of room for like freeform things or like me adding things like habit trackers and things like that. So then I went to an Art Journal Olive Journal, and I really did enjoy my Art Journal Olive Journal, but they're pricey. And so last year I tried to find something that was a little bit more affordable, and that's where I found Vivid Scribbles. So last year I used a Vivid Scribbles dot grid journal. The paper is 160 GSM, so it's a little bit thinner than the paper that Art Journal Olive uses, I believe. I'll double check that, but I found that the bleed through and everything I could do with my Art Journal Olive Journal, I could do with my Vivid Scribbles journal. And the Vivid Scribbles journal is only $24.99 or somewhere in that ballpark. They even go on sale sometimes on Amazon. So I got mine for under $25. Again, don't quote me on that price because Amazon does fluctuate. I'm going to link this one in the description below with an affiliate link for Amazon. But full disclosure, Vivid Scribbles isn't paying me to say any of this. This is just a journal that I found. I did quite a bit of research, and last year I figured if I didn't like it, it was only $25, and then I could just go buy something that I knew would work, but I ended up really loving it. So this is the one that I'm going to use for 2023. It comes in this beautiful box with this beautiful packaging. And then inside here, I already had opened it, so these have normally been like this. But you've got stickers that match the journal, which I think is really cool. I will use some of these maybe. We'll see. I haven't been using stickers as much this past couple years as I did in previous years. But these are really cute stickers, and they're all like themed around whatever color journal you end up getting. I got a black one this year, and it's got this beautiful star decal on it. It says thank you here from Vivid Scribbles, and they say, this journal was created to help you scribble your thoughts, growths, learnings, spurring you into lucid creativity and boldness. We are glad you are holding this, and we thank the stars for you. We know how creative you are, so don't forget to tag us on Instagram, #Vivid Scribbles, which I do tag them quite a bit when I put out stuff. And then they gave me a little coupon code here for their site, which is super cool. But you see there is different collections. They have a Dragonfly Solid Collection, Dragonfly Collection, Metallic, Classic, and Celestial. I couldn't tell you which one this is from. Maybe the Metallic collection or the Celestial Celestial. If you look at the little labels here, do you see how that label matches this label? So this must be from the Celestial collection, which tracks for me. It tracks for what I would pick. So anyway, it comes in this really nice box. The presentation is just fabulous. And like I said, I think the quality is not unmatched, but it is as good as any other bullet journal that I have worked with. So it's got this really nice band here. You've still got a spot for a pen. I never use that because I just use a whole arsenal of pens when I work with mine, and I like to use gouache. So this front page is black, which is super cool. Then you have just a blank page here. And then it gives you some things that people like to put in their own bullet journals, but for me, I like to have these just listed. There's a key and an index. I use my index pages. I use the first index page to list out my months, usually like where the months start because the pages are numbered. But then I usually use these two pages to just list out my important dates for the year. Like if I know people are getting married, if I know that I have vacations planned, I'm just going to go ahead and write that all right in the front, because that way if somebody asks me, hey, are you guys free this time? I can look right here and say, okay, here's the things I know I've got going. And as I get more things that are like that, I can just add them here so that we can kind of have an at-a-glance calendar without having to draw out a whole 2022-2023 calendar in the beginning. that just really works well for me. And then here we start with page 1. It's hard to see on here, but they are numbered pages. One of the things on the Amazon listing that it says is that the page listings or the numbers are kind of light and hard to read. I don't find them hard to read in person. I think they work just fine. Like, I'm going to turn here and you can definitely see there's 33, there's 34. They're the same color as the dots. They're not lighter or darker, so I really like them. I think the dots are spaced nicely. Like I said, I feel like these journals are just wonderful to work with. And then on the back, you've got another page here. It gives you a spot to do your pen testing. So today I may do a few pen tests with you just to show you kind of how nice this journal holds up. And maybe we will do a little bit of my beginning setup just to show you what I'll do in the very front of my journal, because along with those index pages in the very, very front, I usually do a page that is going to talk about birthdays and anniversaries, and then like what am I going to read, what am I going to watch, what am I going to play this year, because those are things I genuinely have hobbies for. I usually make like a little bookshelf and I put stuff on it. So I haven't planned any of this out yet. I've just kind of been busy because it's the end of the year, but I am looking forward to doing this and enjoying some nice time with my journal here in the next week. So I'm going to film it as I go. I might film some of it and then come back and film some more. One thing that I am definitely going to do this year for my spreads that I started doing towards the end of last year is to do them with gouache. I have really been inspired by watching people gouache paint in journals like this. Tina's Diary is a huge inspiration, and I want to try to do that a little bit more for my spreads this year. So that is something that I am looking forward to doing. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing some setup here, and you can just kind of watch along, and I will, maybe I'll do the pen tests too, and I will talk through the pen tests to tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. All right, so I'm just going to test all kinds of stuff on the pen test page, pen and marker and pencil and watercolor and all of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip to this back page here, and I'm going to test my Uniball Signo white gel pen just because I want to see how well it writes on the black paper, and you can see it actually writes really nicely. I didn't have a black cover last year, so I'm just excited to maybe play with that a little bit. And in general, like I might do some cover or some pages where I use a black mixed media paper. I've been really into that lately, and see what we can do with that. Appears to be a little dot on there. That's okay. So anyway, I wanted to do that before I kind of clamp this down and get started. I'm going to test on this page here. I'm going to do all my tests, and then after I do the tests, I will go ahead and I will lift it to see how things went. So I'm going to start with my black pens that I use pretty regularly. The pen I use the most regularly in here is the Tombow Food Nosque, and usually it is the hard tip one, sometimes the soft tip, but the ink is the same in them. These brush pens are my favorite because you can write with them and make nice thin lines like this, but you can also do thicker bold lines, and in general they are pretty darn waterproof. They're probably the most waterproof pens that I have found. So I just did 3 passes on there and nothing is pilling, which is amazing. I will let it dry and maybe go over it again. Another pen that I like for bolder lines is this Zig Writer for Vellum. I got it in, I think, Sketchbox, and I was like, I don't know that I'll really like this. I love this pen. I use it all the time. Oh wait, I need to write down who is what, where on the pen test page. So this is my Tombow Food Nosque. And then I have this Tombow pen in several colors. I am just going to test one color of each thing. And then I have this Zig Writer for Vellum is only in black, but it has this nice thin point. And then if I want thicker lines, it's got this bullet nib over here that is thicker, and Again, it's another pen that you can absolutely watercolor over it and it will not move. So that is something that I like a lot. So this is a Zig, what's it called? Writer for vellum. It acts like a permanent marker. It does not smell like a permanent marker. I have never seen this in a store. I got it in a sketch box. I think it was a sketch box. I got it in a subscription box. But I love it. It's a really great pen. Another pen that I really like that isn't, I think this is pretty waterproof, is the Unipen Fine Line Brush Pen. This is another one that I use, and it's the same reasoning. Like it has that nice tip. This tip is a little more flexible than the hard tip Tombow, although the soft tip Tombow would be very comparable to this. You can see, like, I can do multiple passes in this book and I'm not having any trouble at all. And this is a Unipen Fine Line Brush. Okay, so that is it for the black pens. All right, next let's go through some of the many pens that I seem to use in these books. I don't really have a rhyme or reason for how I choose things. I just kind of go about it. So the most often, like other than this, if I'm writing in a different color, I do really like the Pentel sign pens, the brush sign pens, specifically the ones with these nice nibs. Again, I'm not really a brush letterer, but my cursive isn't bad, so these end up being really pretty to write with. And they have like this nice flexible brush nib that can go either way. So this is the Pentel sign brush. And I'm just going to do like a tiny swatch here where I color it down. And again, maybe after 3 passes there, it's starting to feel a little bit rough, but it's still not really pilling. Okay, another kind of pen I like to use is the Le Pen Flex pens made by Barbie Ukaida. Again, you can see like I have a style that I really like of nib, which is this flexible nib that is a little bit harder, but all of them are just a little bit different. And again, that's 3 passes and no pilling. So Le Pen Flex. I prefer anything that's got a little weight to it to a fine liner. Then we have a Sharpie brush pen. I don't use these all that often, but they are in my arsenal, so I'm going to test it. These have a much more flexible brush nib. We're kind of getting into like what I would consider to be marker territory now. These don't seem bad. It seems to be taking it well. Again, I'm not going to pull it over until the end. I have my Caran Brush Marker Pros. Of all of my water-based markers, these are the ones that I think probably push out the most pigment at once. You can see just how crazy pigmented these are. Now I can see that this is really seeping into the paper already. So this very well may bleed. And if that's okay, I just need to know that so that I know to not maybe use it in that kind of a application. So I don't really use my Caran brush markers. Brush Marker Pro in these journals too much, but I'm just testing. I'm just testing to see what will work. What I do use in these journals all the time are my Tombow ABT markers, the water-based ones. You can see how loved this one is. It's like, totally, like look at that. These are great markers. They have a nice bullet tip that, again, loads of pigment on these markers. Okay, so that's 4 passes. And then it's got this nice tiny bullet nib on the other side. So you can get tiny lines too. I love these. I love these for doing big sweeping passes in these journals when I'm not using gouache. Mild liners by Zebra are another thing that I do have. I don't know how often I'm going to use them, and this one is only a chisel liner, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it in here just to test it. I don't really see it causing too much of a problem. These were made for bullet journals, so there's that. And then the last thing that I have that I really like is another Zig product, and that is Zig's Clean Color Dot markers. If you don't have these, they're like so much fun. They just do, like, you can, depending on the pressure level, do big dots or teeny dots all over your paper. This nib is just this really unique rounded shape. There are other companies that have them. I have another set by, I think, Ohuhu, but I do love my Zig ones the most. And then they come with this like plastic nib fine liner on the other side. And these do work really good in these Vivid Scribble journals. Again, I'm just showing you guys some of this. Some of these I know are going to work fine in here, but I wanted to show you a little bit. So now on this side here, let's go ahead and test some water-based mediums. We'll start with watercolor. These are my Daniel Smith watercolors. They're probably the ones I would be most likely to reach for if I were to watercolor in this book. Let's go ahead and use this phthalo blue, which is a beautiful color, but it is a deep, rich color. So I'll do just like a general pass with a decent amount of water. I'll choose a different color, maybe this Quin. This looks like, I think this is Quin Acridone Violet. And we'll just have those two swatches sit there and dry. Then I want to test the Viviva color sheets. They are made with pure ink, so they may react differently to the Daniel Smith book. Let's try to find colors maybe that are similar. We could do ocean blue. Yeah, that's pretty similar. Okay. And then those are metallics. Let's go back up here and see if I have a burgundy. Burgundy. Look at that. So very similar colors to those Daniel Smith colors, just so that we can see from the back if anything is different. Okay. Then I have some gouache just sitting on my palette up here. Let me go ahead and grab the blue color. This is gouache. It is, you know, gouache that's sitting on a palette, so it's not going to be as on top of the page as some of the other, like, gouache might be. And again, I used gouache in this journal last year, so I know that it does work without causing any problems. I just want to see how well we hold up here, just to show you. And I do have another brush there. I'm going to do, at least with the gouache, a big pass along the bottom just to see how that looks. And then we have our Gold Faber Aqua pencils here. I just thought maybe I would use watercolor pencils this year. So if I do that and I test it, we'll scribble them and then we'll color them and we'll see what happens. So there's one, and we'll do this blue. Again, we're not exactly matching all of the colors. I just was trying to get similar looking colors. Okay, and then just quickly watering these down. So you can see you're getting a much lighter effect with watercolor pencils than you would be with pure pigmented watercolors. But it might be fun to do some illustrating in here and wet down the watercolor pencils. You do have to add more water to do that, so that's something I wanted to look at. All right, then lastly, I just want to take a big wash brush, and along the bottom here, I've got a big pool of this like greenish color here that I actually used for another project. So I'm just gonna get it on my brush, and I'm gonna do some major, like a big swatch. There we go. And we'll do a couple of passes with this to see exactly how it takes a big, like, look at that's a lot of water. And again, I'm really pushing it to the limits here to see, once it dries, what it looks like. Normally when I use gouache, I am a little bit more controlled with my water. I'm like, just going for it here. And we'll do a swipe up top just to see the difference. Okay. So, I feel like maybe at the bottom, I'm going to go one more layer here. Really get it wet. Okay. So now, let's give it a minute just to soak in. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you the back. So let's just give that a minute to dry. I think we're going to be very impressed. In the meantime, let me go ahead and use this pen to mark what I did where. So this was Daniel Smith. Watercolor. This was Viviva. Watercolor sheets. This was Holbein gouache. This was Goldfaber. Aqua. And this was large gouache test. All right, so this is our 2023 pen test. It said pen test there, but it's hard to see. All right, so I think it's probably dry enough to at least get some good ideas. So this is the back. So there's the Karen brush mark. Let me pull it closer to the camera. So there's the Karen brush marker. I told you I saw that one seeping through. But look at those watercolors. There is some buckling. But, I mean, it's a bullet journal. I get buckling all the time because I paint in it. But, wow. I mean, like, I am super impressed with that. I feel like I cannot believe how well this non-mixed media book does take the water. One last thing I want to test with it down here. I'm going to clip it back because I did forget that I got those out. I'm going to test my alcohol markers. I have my Tombow ABT Pro alcohol markers here. They are not water-based. They are alcohol-based. And I'm going to get like a really deep, here's a purple and a pink that I can probably blend together with some work. These guys are great because they have this really nice, just like the other Tombows, they have a nice brush nib. And then on the other side, they have a really pointed small chisel. So they are one of my preferred type of alcohol markers. I like them probably near as much as I like my Copics. And so we're just going to test. Now, I expect fully this alcohol marker to bleed because it's an alcohol marker. And that is the expectation here. So I'm just going to try to like blend these together, which is going to take some passes. And that is the point here, is that I am trying to definitely get some bleeding to see if I can get bleeding. I don't generally use alcohol markers in my journals, but you know, I'm interested to see how it bleeds and how bad it would be, because I just think for science, you know? Okay. This feels like a pretty darn good blend, to be honest with you. Feels like that blended pretty well together. Let's see how much it bled onto the other side, or if this paper is like super magical. Okay, so you see here, like I was not clipping it hard, but it definitely does bleed. So the paper is not, it's not amazingly, impossibly amazing. It does bleed with alcohol markers. So I wouldn't recommend using alcohol markers in one of these journals, but then I kind of knew that was going to happen. I just wanted to see what would happen. But I went over that a bunch of times. If you actually look where the alcohol marker was only done with 1 or 2 passes, the bleeding wasn't awful. The ghosting wasn't that bad. This is really ghosting, not bleeding. This is more bleeding. But if you were going to maybe put a piece of vellum on top of this and color, like do something with alcohol marker and then paste it in here, that would be fine, obviously. So it's just for science. I wanted to see that. And we will mark it down here so we know. These were Tombow ABT Pro markers. And I will make in caption alcohol, because I just want to remember that that's what I did there. But yeah, so there is the pen test. This was pretty extensive, I think, for what I'm going to use the journal for. The gouache is pretty close to being dry now, and you can see there is still really just buckling. No ghosting, and I really hit that with a lot of water. The Karen brush markers are the only thing that really had ghosting. So let's go ahead and I will do a time lapse of some of my setup for the beginning of the year and maybe even my January setup. And I will come back to you once I've gotten a little bit further in here. All right, so I decided I'm not going to do the January spread in this video. I'm just going to make this a little bit of a shorter video where I show you what I've got the setup going as for the beginning of the journal, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of my plan for January, but I'm actually working on doing something different than I normally do for January, so that may be a video in and of itself. I might just film it and make it into like a short, because it seems like that kind of content is more fun for me to like not sit at my desk and do, but maybe sit somewhere where I'm a little more comfortable and film just with my phone, not so formally. So anyway, here is the journal. I wrote my name in the front of it. So here is there's a blank page in the front. And then here is our index. And like I said, I just put my basic months, my media shelf, my birthdays and anniversaries. I'm going to show you those in a minute. Then these 2 pages are dedicated to important family dates. I really got to get on writing some of those in here because I do have quite a few things coming up in 2023 that I need to get down somewhere. Okay, and then this is my favorite spread that I do that's just unique to me. I have a page that's just birthdays and anniversaries, and I really like this because it allows me to have all this information at a glance. It also allows me to be able to set up my monthly calendars really easily because I just look in January and I see who's got what and I can write it down. This is my 2023, I call it the media shelf. So all the books I read, I'll write in here. Last year I read very few books for myself. I used to read, my goal used to be 25 books a year. That was before I really got back into art. So, you know, there's only so many hours in a day. So I'm reading a little bit less, but I'm definitely doing more art, which is fine, you know. And I have a movies and TV shelf here just because when we watch things, I like to remember what year it happened in and whatnot. So I like to write those down. Games, I like to put both video games and board games that I'm into here. And I'll just kind of make like a mishmashed stack of that. And then I have an other category because I don't know if there's other stuff I might put there. Maybe I will put my favorite art supplies there. Maybe I will list a new hobby or something that we try out as a family there. But I just like to have the options. So that is that. And then this is going to be my January spread. So let me talk a little bit about how it's going to stay the same and how it's going to change from last year. So first of all, I always have just a cover page that has the title on it. And then I have across from that some type of mood tracker, some type of habit tracker. I think for this month, I'm going to go really simple and just do like a boxed mood tracker and the key actually right here. And then I'm just going to do, I might do the habits up here. I think I'm going to, even though I have them listed here, because I really want to do like snowy trees for January just because it's easy and it's my comfort zone and I'm feeling very into comfort art right at the moment because it's the week between Christmas and New Year's. This is different than last year. So last year I had a page dedicated to like YouTube and Twitch and stuff, and I never used it because I have books that I write all of that in because it's a lot more messy and it's not formalized as much. And so it is formalized, but like it's just different. I just think about that stuff different. I have my own book for it because I do a lot of research. I do a lot of scribbling. I do a lot of looking for specific items and things like that. So I made this a little different. I'm going to do each month, I'm going to do a list of my goals for the month, my favorite things going on that month, whether it's music or TV or moments in my life. I just think that'd be fun. And then also highlights. This, I guess, is more like moments of my life or things that have happened that are cool. And then lowlights, because I do think it's important sometimes to just write down some of the negative stuff that goes on and as a way to acknowledge it and move on from it. I know that doing that in the past has really helped me, and this is something I'm going to try out. So along with my bill tracker, this is going to go in every spread that I have for the month. Then I've got my calendar here. This isn't going to change too much. We'll still kind of do some sort of scene over here, and then the calendar spread will be pretty similar. I really like the way I do my calendars. That's probably not going to change anytime soon. And then we'll have our monthly spreads here. The big change I want to do for at least the first monthly spread to see how I like it is I really want to try a Dutch door. If you don't know what a Dutch door is, basically that means that this page will have artwork on it, and then the ending page of the month will have artwork on it, and then these guys in between will get cut to fit that spread. So I have to think a lot about how I want to adjust, because if you look at, I'll see if I have a week that doesn't have crazy information on it. Let me see here. Yeah, okay, I have a basic week here. That's not too bad. So like if you look here, what I do now is this part is the week. I've got weekly notes, which I could cut those down, but then this is my menu, and I really like having my menu there, but I never use it all. So I definitely want to showcase artwork more on it. So what I'm thinking is that I would like to change my spread up, but I have to play a little bit and decide, and I'm not just ready to do that today. So I'm definitely going to think about that a little bit in the next few days while I'm doing this, but that is my plan for this bullet journal. So I'm really excited about it. Again, just going back to that pen test, because I know you guys wanted to see it. It is good. We did not get ghosting except on the alcohol markers, and the Karen Brush Marker Pro was a little bit of ghosting, but not bleeding through. This one bled through. It's pretty amazing. I am really impressed, and I'm excited for this journal. So I am going to, in the description below, link my journal that I bought from Vivid Scribbles. This is no shame to any other companies. I just really like their books, and I think they're super affordable. If you use gouache or watercolor, this is definitely a good book that's not mixed media paper. You have to know that going in, but it is about the best you can get for that. And I really think that for the price, you can't beat these. So, you know, I would love to hear about everybody else's plans for journaling in the comments below. If it is something you're interested in, or if you buy a specific journal, what journal do you buy and why do you buy it? What do you like that it has that other journals don't? And that's going to be it for me today. I hope that this video finds you all having a wonderful end to your year, and that we can get artsy and creative together in 2023. Please stay tuned for some cool videos talking about what's upcoming for the next year. I can't wait to share with you all of my ideas. And we'll see you in 2023. Bye for now.